In this video, we're going to take our chatbot one step further. Using this video and what we're going to learn in this video, you're going to be able to introduce voice commands using your chatbot. That means you can tell your chatbot to do something, and based on some data that is returned, it can then initiate an action. So you can actually tell a scene what to do, and it will respond with a behavior of some sort. All right, so this is actually going to be using an asset pack that you can see in the description of this video, so make sure you download that. There's a few assets you're going to need. Inside that asset pack is a JavaScript script that we're going to be using here in Sumerian, and there's also a zip file for a chatbot or a Lex bot that you can upload in Lex, and we'll show you how to do that as well. All right, let's get started. All right, so we are returning here to our scene. And if you remember in the last video, we created a chatbot, and it looks something like this. All right, so you might have an intro speech in between the AWS SDK to do to say some sort of intro or something like that. I have deleted that or bypassed it. And we've just gone to the chatbot behavior. So remember, it goes for wait for key down, and then once you press the space bar, it starts recording on your microphone. And then when you lift up the space bar with a key space up, it will then stop recording, and then it transitions to this process with Lex. But it is using the action send audio input to dialog bot, and then it goes to another start speech action. But we have chosen to use the Lex response. Then it goes back to the wait for key down. Now, if we go to Maya Hoodie in the inspector panel and we go to the dialog component, you'll remember that this is the chatbot that we created in the chatbot lesson, this host video series book trip. The book trip LexBot is a sample bot that you can create. So we launched it and then published it and built it. We're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm now going to move over to Lex. And when I'm in Lex, you'll see I have a few different chatbots I have produced here. And using the zip file that you downloaded in the asset pack, you will go to Actions and then Import. And then once you can browse and search for that zip file that you downloaded that should be called Voice Command Bot. I have already done that, and so I don't need to do it again. But then it'll appear here. And when I enter the bot, this is what we see. There are two intents. The voice command demo intent, we'll start with this one, the bottom one, doesn't actually do anything other than it's just you can introduce yourself and the bot will respond with, "Hi there from Lex." Right? Well, there it is. So let's go to test chatbot over here. And I can say, hello. And it says, "Hi there from Lex. My name is Jake." Well, they didn't actually understand that. Introduce yourself. I was getting myself confused. Introduce yourself. And I actually did, but it didn't know what I was talking about. All right. Hi there from Lex. All right, so this one actually doesn't do much, but it is something you can do, and we'll look a little bit at it. We'll see how that actually works from Sumerian. Now we're going to go to light switch intent. This is the more interesting one. What we're going to do in this scene is this is going to be a chatbot that will be able to turn on and off the lights by telling our host to turn on or off the lights. Now, if you notice, there are a few different utterances. There's turn, light switch action, the light, or light, turn, light switch action. So you see there's some sample utterances like turn on or off the light, light on or off, or turn the light on or off. Now, in these curly brackets, this represents our slot type. So you see light switch action. If you go over the slot types and you'll see light switch action and you open that up, there are two different values. There's on or off. So depending on what you say, on or off, it will then put that in the middle of that utterance, and that's how Lex will read that utterance. And then when you return a value, or the value that Lex will return, and you do need to make sure that your slots are marked as required. This will enable it to be a value to be returned. I'll show you what I mean by return value. So when I say turn on the light, they say that the light should be on. And that's because the response says the light should be, and then it fills in whatever command you gave. So I could also say light off, Same thing, the light should be off. Now, if I go to details down here, you'll notice that there's a slot light switch action off. That's because I said light off. It responded with that and then returned this value of off. Same thing if I do light on. This value, light switch action, the value is on. If I do something like hello, there's no slot type, and so it doesn't return any value. So that's why this utterance doesn't really do anything other than just respond with a response. So that's what we have here. And we've gone over the Lex bot. You don't really need to do anything other than build and then publish once you have imported this bot into your console. You do, however, need to record or copy the name of your bot. So I will do that. Mine is already built and published, so I'm just going to go back to Sumerian. And I'll start with going to the dialog bot and replacing the bot that we had in the last lesson with this new one, voice command bot. The alias I can leave the same. This will just always use the latest alias type that we created for our Lex bot. All right. Now, let's look at how this works. Let's open up our chatbot here, and let's see how our host responds. Turn on the light.
The light should be on.
Okay, you see how she responded? Light off.
The light should be off.
Okay. So now we know that our LexBot is actually working. The next thing we need to do is to add a script so that we can actually do something with those values that are returned. So those values, the light switch on, off, values are returned to our scene. But we don't have a way to do anything with that value. So what we can do is add a script that will take that value and then emit a message based on the values that are returned. So there's a script included in the asset pack that you downloaded. It's not very many lines long, so go ahead and download that. Now go to Maya Hoodie and add component and select the script component, and then we'll add a new script by clicking the plus button. And then we will click the custom. It's adding a new instance slot probably isn't the right word, a new script instance, right? But it's empty, it doesn't have anything in it, so we'll edit it, and this will open up the text editor. So I'll bring that over, and I'll rename it. I'll click that another pencil icon to edit. Oh, it closed out. I'll call it Lex Response. Okay, and then everything in here I'm going to replace with that script. Click Save. That's really important to make sure you click Save. The text editor does not save automatically. Now, high level, let's just look at what's going on here. If the slot data type or the slot value returns the light switch action on, it's going to emit a message called switch on. If the case of in the case when the slot data returned is light switch action off, it's going to emit the switch off message. Now, this is customizable completely. You can change your slot type here, and you can change the values of your slot type. You can add on more slot types here. So you can add on to this. This is why this is actually a really great script to start with, is because it's very simple. It has one slot type with two different values. But of course you can start adding on. You can add other slot types and other values for those each individual slot type. All right, so that's all we need to do. We don't need to do anything else here. However, we are getting a message emitted in our scene, but now we need to do something with that. So because we're telling the lights to turn on and off, let's do something to then turn the lights on and off. I'm going to select this key directional, the second one, and add component. I'm just going to add a state machine, add component. Oops, no, I'm sorry, not that. State machine and then plus button to add a new behavior. And I'll name this one the light behavior in action. Okay, so let me start this over. I'm changing the name of my state to listen. The details is where I meant to call this light behavior. Okay, then we'll collapse that. All right, so now we are set. We have a light behavior with a state that has a listen action attached to it. Except that I did a DOM event listener. I did not mean to do that. Add action, listen. Just listen, not DOM event listener. Okay, now we're in good shape. We then wanted to transition to a state that will turn off the light. So I will add another state, move it up here. We'll rename the state light off. We'll add the action set light properties. And the intensity we want to be 0. Then you see how it doesn't add a transition label here, so we'll add action and then search for transition. Second one down here. Now I have a transition label so we can actually transition to another state. Instead of starting from scratch, I'm just going to click my listen action or state and duplicate it. And for the first listen, I'm going to make it switch off. That's the channel I want it listening on. And the second one, I want it to be switch on. Now I'm going to duplicate the light off state, change the name to light on, and change the intensity back to 1. So now what's happening is when I tell Lex turn on the light or turn off the light, I'll start with off. It's listening for off. So when I say turn off the light, the data value of light switch action on is returned, and then that script turns that into an emitted message called switch off, which the light is listening for. Once it hears it, it will then transition to a light off. Turn off the light, and then it'll go to listen for the switch on, and then when it hears switch on again, going through the same steps, it'll then turn on the light. All right, so let's see how this works. Turn off the light.
The light should be off.
Great, it works. Turn on the light.
The light should be on.
There we go. It is passing through the light on, light off states. It's just happening very quickly, so it doesn't, catch it visually. All right, and if I wanted to add this action, this behavior to multiple lights, I can select this light, add component, go to state machine. If I find my light behavior, I can just drag it onto here. I can do it for all 3. Let's do it for all 3. And we'll add the light behavior. There's no need to redo the light behavior because it's handling everything for us. Okay, so let's go light, play the scene. Light off.
The light should be off.
Light on.
The light should be on.
Great. Now, if you remember, I also said that you can say hello to your Lexbot, so I can say hello.
Hi there from Lex.
And there we go. So we have just a simple response. All right, so that is how you add voice commands using Lex. You need that script, and using this specific Lexbot that is included in the asset pack. It's an easy way to get started, and it's very customizable. Remember, you just got to change those slot type values and the slot values themselves in your script to be able to customize it to whatever Lexbot or chatbot that you have. All right, thanks for watching. I hope you join us for the next video.